What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is TheUziGunner here, bringing you people my Week 8 UBL match where I'm going up against none other than KreselleKey, who is the coach of the Adelaide Honchkrows. Now, I apologize if I rushed through this session, guys, but basically, the last version I did ended up not recording my audio because my dumbass decided to leave the mic of mic part in the OBS muted. So yeah, you can pretty much imagine how I'm feeling. But either way, first things first, please do feel free to check her channel out. She is actually a pretty decent content creator, and if I recall correctly, she is actually competing in the NPA. So she definitely is well known in the sense that she's competing in some pretty well known leagues. And I really like her narration ability, and she definitely also knows how to bring the heat every now and then. So yeah, if you guys could check her out, it would really mean a lot. But either way, that's basically all there is to it. We still are trying to stay undefeated throughout the regular season. So with that, let me show you what I got right here. We got Ghetto, aka the Shuckle, with I Pop a Berry, with Encore, Toxic, Stealth Rock, and Sticky Webs. And basically, this is my main switching into her Mega Camera because through this, I am essentially going to be 4-hit KO'd by her Fire Blast because yeah, like Mega Camera is such a huge problem to my team, and at the same time, it's also one of my main ways of setting up webs along with her Araquanid, which I think she's definitely going to bring because I have a Zygarde 10%, which otherwise just spams 1000 arrows. So yeah. And of course, Encore is there to make sure her regular Latias doesn't set up on it, and Toxic cause, you know, status. For next up, we got Wuji Shang, aka the Choice Scarf Infernape, with U-Turn, Gong Shot, Flare Blitz, and Thunder Punch. Really didn't need to run a Jolly set this time around because of the speed, natural speed in her squad. And yeah, it kind of sucks that I don't have any other way of hitting the Mega Camera, but I think it should be fine, to be honest. Gong Shot is obviously here for the Koko. Thunder Punch so that I can smack that Jellicent really good if the situation presents itself, especially under electric terrain. And of course, Flare Blitz, cause stab, and U-Turn cause momentum. And yeah, next up we got the Payapa Berry. Sorry about that. Nidoqueen with Toxic, Art Powers, Thunderbolt, and Super Fang. And this is pretty much one of my main lures for that Alolan Raichu of hers because, as you can already notice, it pretty much really wrecks me. So unless I play my cards carefully, I'm going to get absolutely mollywopped by it. So yeah. Toxic is here for her Latias, and Super Fang is here to whittle it down. And of course, Earth Power and Thunderbolt are pretty much all the stab I need, are all the hard-hitting moves I need going into this match. But yeah, next up we got Weavile, the Choice Banded Weavile, with Icicle Crash, Knockoff, Ice Shard, and Pursuit. And as you can see, this is also something which she has very little answers for, and I can definitely see this thing putting in the finest of work should the situation present itself, especially after I'm able to take out what I assume to be a physically defensive Araquanid. So yeah. For the final two Pokemon, we got Kitamura, aka the Mega Blastoise, with Rapid Spin, Dark Pulse, Scald, and Aqua Ring. And this is essentially my main switching into her Araquanid of hers because if she for some reason chooses to run a Bandit set, then this is pretty much my main answer. And I decided to run Aqua Ring in the end because I essentially didn't want this thing to have to come in not that much on that thing. So having some sort of recovery is actually pretty damn sick. So that's pretty much the idea behind it. And yeah, last but not least, we got Thunder Wave, aka the Sugarberry Klefki, with Player of Foul Play, Toxic, and Hint Power Water. And this essentially is my main answer to her line move because if it ends up going to +6, it doesn't matter if she goes for a Stomping Tantrum unless she ends up critting me, in which case I will click X then and there. I am guaranteed to take the Stomping Tantrum just fine and be able to knock it out. And it also is a pretty solid way of taking care of that minier of hers because yeah, like Klefki is definitely an MVP, that's for sure. And for the last move, Hidden Power Water, which is obviously for the Mega Camera of hers because I do not want that thing to come in on me freely. So if I'm able to catch this thing, especially after Rocks, if I recall correctly, I will be able to 2-hit KO that thing. So yeah, that's basically all there is to it for this team, guys. Hope you all enjoyed, and with that, let us move on into the battle. Hi guys, we're back right now, and as you can see, this is what my opponent Gress brought. And to be honest, I would be lying if I said I was surprised by not seeing any Araquanid here because yeah, like from team preview alone, if I were if I did end up bringing my Zygarde 10%, I pretty much spammed 1,000 arrows and there was absolutely nothing that she could do about it. So yeah, just the fact that I see no Araquanid really did throw me for a loop and made me kind of regret not bringing it, but it's whatever. And just by looking at his team, just by looking at her team, sorry about that, it's clear as day that my best lead would definitely have to be my Infernape because it matches up pretty well, and like I can pretty much get momentum on pretty much anything and everything that she chooses to lead off with. So that's pretty much going to be my strategy going on from here. And yeah, like as far as the biggest threats go, I would definitely say that the Minior would have to be one of them, but as long as I keep my KreselleKey alive along with it, you know, rocking the Shuka Berry, I should be perfectly fine. So yeah, that's basically all there is to it. And with that, let us start the game, shall we? Right, so first things first, before as we go on into this battle, this was actually redone because like Crest and I were having Wi-Fi issues. So yeah, if something does seem off, don't worry, I'll explain everything and stuff. But yeah, she leads off with her Minior as I lead off with my Choice Scarf. Wujishang, obviously unless I have a Death Wish, it would definitely be in my best interest to U-turn my ass on out of here. So I'm going to do exactly just that, expecting her to either go for a Flying type move, which I don't think is going to happen anyways, or just go for an Earthquake, in which the latter was very much more likely, as she is actually going to just set up turn 1, which I've thought was a very questionable play because I don't think it's ever a good idea to set up so early on in the game, but it's whatever. She's gonna get all that boost and get all her dropped stats back thanks to the White Herb, which she is going to show right now. And yeah, what happens here is that she actually hits her Stone Edge in the first game, but like unfortunately she misses this one as I'm going to be able to land the foul play. So this is obviously bad because now, unless of course I have unless you know I don't want to be fair, I have to let her hit me with the Stone Edge. So I'm going to allow her to do just that, as yeah, I'm gonna just stay in and go for Toxic, whereas like whereas it definitely be in my best interest to just go for a foul play otherwise, as she unfortunately misses her Stone Edge again. So yeah, like right off the bat, my opponent Crest is going through some very unfortunate luck. But yeah, what the difference between the scenario here is that as she hit her first Stone Edge, she was actually in shields up form, if that's how you properly pronounce it. So she couldn't do much damage to me with the Stone Edge, and like I managed to lift the next Earthquake from her and actually knock it out with a foul play. But since that was not the case, as she was able to hit me with the Stone Edge while being in shields down, I'm not going to be able to lift the hit and beat this thing as I was supposed to before. So what Crest is going to do here is just go for a Shell Smash here and now, because otherwise we're just kind of being unfair at this stage, as I'm just going to just take this opportunity to just straight out knock this thing out here and now with the Thunderbolt. Like the kill is still going to go to KreselleKey though, because KreselleKey was the Pokemon that actually got the kill. And what happened was that she initially went out into Tapu Koko and killed off my KreselleKey, as I was able to get a Toxic off on this thing thanks to Prankster. So what I'm going to do now is pretty much show her that I actually have Toxic at my disposal. As yeah, I'm not going to knock this Tapu Koko out, obviously. And yeah, what basically happens is that after she knocks out my KreselleKey, she goes out into her Alolan Raichu, as I then go out into my Nidoqueen, just to scare this thing out and whatnot. As so yeah, trying to get myself trying to, you know, make things go the way things initially were. I'm going to actually go for a double Toxic because like in the grand scheme of things it really doesn't matter. But yeah, as of now, if she stays in and Psychics me, my Pineapple Berry is going to be able to pop off right now. And thankfully, she is not going to be able to snag a crit on me. And this just means that I'm going to be able to easily knock this thing out with an Earth Power. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm able to get rid of a very huge problem to my team. So yeah, we're looking pretty good right now, honestly. As now what I believe I do would have to be going hard out straight into my Kitamura, aka my Mega Blastoise, as he is going to go for an Ice Punch like I expected him to. Like it pretty much was a no-brainer, the way I see it. But yeah, what I'm going to do now is just pretty much take this as the chance to get my free Mega Evolution off and get a pretty nice and free Scald off, because if you look at his team, he does not have any sort of switches whatsoever to this thing, and at the same time, if I were to get a potential Scald burn on that Hitmonchan of his, it would definitely benefit me a lot, and at the same time, granted, Thunder Punch would have done a lot of damage to me, but as of now, I prioritize getting damage on that Hitmonchan, because it actually is a bit of a nuisance for my team, the more I think about it. But anyways, the Electric Surge is going to die right now, which is kind of awesome, because now this Tapu Koko essentially is doing much less damage than it's supposed to anyways. As now what I'm going to do is just pretty much take this as a chance to get my webs up. Don't really see any reason not to, because yeah, like if you look at her team, she's essentially very grounded to the point of no return. So webs is definitely much more of a priority here than Stealth Rocks in my opinion. But yeah, as of now, what I believe I do would have to be going hard out into my Infernape, expecting her, to go for a Smart Strike or a Leaf Blade, which he does go for right now, and that does over freaking half, which combined with a Life Orb just goes to show exactly how hard hitting this piece of shit is. As yeah, I'm now just gonna go for a Flare Blitz and knock this thing out, and that's kind of unfortunate, because if you looked at team preview, my Infernape actually did so much damage to our team, but now that it took all that damage, I'm essentially in range to die from a Mach Punch from that Hitmonchan of hers. So that's kind of unfortunate, as what I believe I do now would have to be definitely not letting this thing die, as this has much more to offer for me, honestly. As I'm gonna go out in my Ghetto and take absolute figuratively nothing from that Mach Punch of hers, which is fan-freaking-tastic. Oh, look at that ambulance. As I'm going to just take this as a chance to go for a Toxic here, because again, my priority is to make sure that Hitmonchan of hers gets whittled down to the point of no return, so that Shard from my Adamant Weavile is able to knock it out. So that's pretty much the hypothesis behind the idea. As that, what I believe I do is just pretty much go for my webs, go for an Encore, which was probably a bad play on my behalf. But either way, I just pretty much take this as a chance to just go for webs again, because like I don't see why not. And she actually goes for a knockoff, meaning that my Aya Papa Berry will never pop off. I don't even know how to properly pronounce that. I'm really sorry. But yeah, I'm going to be able to get my webs up, as I'm going to let my Shuckle die here and now. Didn't really see any reason to keep it alive, to be honest, because I pretty much, you know, didn't want any of my other Pokemon to take unnecessary damage. But either way, I'm going to just pretty much go for our Safeguard power with my Nidoqueen, which does literally have to this thing. And considering the fact that I already lost my Payapa Berry, I am not going to be taking much damage from that knockoff of the Alolan Mux. So 2 Earth powers are definitely going to be more than enough to knock it out, and that's pretty damn awesome, because now I would say that I definitely do have the game on lock, because like either my Weavile wins or my Infernape wins on its own. Like that's just pretty much how the situation is. Unless, of course, you know, that Tapu Koko of hers ends up being Scarfed, in which case I cannot go hard out into my Infernape by default. So, yeah. What I believe I do right now would have to be just pretty much go out into my... Yeah, I go out in my Wujishang, actually. As what I believe I do is just go for a safe U-turn, because, again, I didn't really see any reason not to go for it to begin with. And at the same, because it would just easily pick off the Tapu Koko from the range of HP it was at anyway. So, yeah, I'm just going to go straight for a U-turn here. She goes out into her Hitmonchan. As now what I believe I do would have to be just going straight out into my Kitamura, aka my Mega Blastoise, which should be able to take this thing on 1v1 pretty leniently, because I have a lot of physical defensive investment. So, yeah, Mega Blastoise is a very fat boy. As thanks to the web support, I'm going to be able to outspeed this thing and pretty much put her in a position where the next call is definitely going to knock her out, especially if we are to consider the fact that she is badly poisoned. So yes, I'm going to go straight for a final Scald, as she does go for a Mach Punch in a last-ditch effort to get whatever damage she could on me. As down goes the Hitmonchan, and last but not least remains the Tapu Koko, which is definitely not going to be able to win alone, because I do actually have priority in the back with my Choice Scarf, with my Banded Weavile. So yeah, iShard is definitely my play at this stage. She's going to be able to live at a sliver amount of HP, but Obviously, I'm not gonna allow her to get any chances of recovery with Roost. So yeah, I'm gonna go out in my Weavile, pick her off with a nice and clean Ice Shard, and with that, this is going to be a 2-0 victory for the BPC. So yeah, this definitely was a solid game, I think. Granted, I'd say that Kress did make some sorts of misplays early on in the game, especially with the Minior of hers, because I definitely think that if she played much more carefully with it, she definitely could have swept me with it. As well as, you know, letting her Alolan Raichu die so early, despite the fact that I went hard out into my Nidoqueen on it, despite the fact that, you know, she went out into that before in the first game. So yeah, despite that, it still was a solid game, and yeah, if I were to be blunt, I'd say that she definitely has all the potential to improve much more as she plays this game. And yeah, I'm going to leave her links in the description down below, guys. Please feel free to check her out. I really like her content, and she's definitely an amazing human being in general, and I wish her all the best, really. But yeah, the Bullet Punch Club as of now is officially 7-1, and I gotta say, this feels fan-freaking-tastic. And as far as my next opponent goes, I'm actually going to be going up against none other than IrishEmerald, who is the coach of the Wexford Wailords, and he's doing actually pretty well for himself. He's definitely a very formidable opponent, and I definitely look forward to facing him. I mean, I've already faced him since I'm already recording all of this in advance, but yeah, it's going to be a live Wi-Fi battle. I mean, live showdown battle, because unfortunately we had Wi-Fi issues. And yeah, that's going to be all there is to it for this rambling. Hope you guys enjoyed, and if you did, please feel free to drop a like on this video. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't, if you want to, of course, and let me know in the comment section down below who you think is the MVP, the most valuable Pokemon of this match. This is your friendly neighborhood starter man signing out, and with that, adieu.